It was the statement fans thought they'd never hear, after 2 decades of waiting, watching, and begging for closure. Jim Jones finally opened his mouth about the one subject he's dodged for years, Chrissy's wedding. And when the words came out, they weren't sweet, they weren't romantic, and they weren't hopeful. They were devastating. For years, Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin were the couple everyone rooted for but grew frustrated with. The proposal, the endless waiting, the fights, the reality TV moments that turned into memes. Fans laughed, fans cried, but deep down, they held on to one dream, that one day, the wedding would finally happen. That 2 decades of love, chaos, and loyalty would end in the fairy tale walk down the aisle. But when Jim finally spoke out, that dream shattered like glass. His words cut through the years of speculation and silence like a blade. And in seconds, fans realized the truth. 20 years of hope, 20 years of loyalty, 20 years of believing in a love story may have all gone down the drain. "I don't need a wedding to prove nothing," Jim said, in a voice that sounded more like defiance than devotion. "People keep asking me about marriage like it's the finish line. Me and Chrissy been together 20 years. That's realer than any ring or piece of paper." The internet froze. Fans stared at their screens in shock. Had he really just dismissed 20 years of Chrissy's devotion like that? Had he really reduced her dreams, her sacrifices, her patience to just a piece of paper? Twitter timelines erupted instantly. One fan tweeted in rage, "Chrissy wasted her best years waiting for a man who never planned to marry her." Another wrote, "Jim, you just embarrassed her in front of the whole world again." That wasn't even the worst part, because just minutes after Jim's statement, an old clip from Love and Hip Hop resurfaced, the infamous moment Chrissy, tears in her eyes, begged Jim to finally make it official. The video racked up millions of views in hours, now paired with Jim's latest comments. Fans posted side-by-side edits, Chrissy crying, Jim dodging, and now, 20 years later, still refusing. The caption read simply, "She waited for nothing." The heartbreak was unbearable. Fans weren't just sad, they were furious. 20 years down the drain, one viral comment read, "She deserved better." Others said Chrissy should have walked away a decade ago. TikTok filled with women warning each other not to waste your life like Chrissy did, and then came the twist that left everyone gasping. Because insiders began whispering that Jim's defiant comments weren't random. They were a direct response to rumors that Chrissy has been planning a wedding without him. Yes, you heard that right. Allegedly, Chrissy had been quietly making arrangements with close friends and family, dreaming of walking down the aisle with or without Jim's blessing. And when Jim got wind of it, his pride couldn't take it. His statement wasn't just about marriage in general. It was a public message to Chrissy herself. Don't you dare. The betrayal cut deep. Fans who had once cheered for the couple were now split. Some sided with Jim, claiming he was just keeping it real. Others unleashed their fury on him, blasting him for stringing Chrissy along for 2 decades. But the most shocking reactions weren't from fans. They came from people close to the couple. Leaked screenshots from alleged group chats claimed that even friends of Jim and Chrissy were divided. One supposed insider wrote, "She's humiliated. This broke her spirit." Another shot back, "She knew what it was. He was never going to marry her." The war had begun, and just as the internet was still reeling, Chrissy herself broke her silence with one chilling Instagram post, a black and white photo of her standing alone. No caption, no smile, just a glass of wine in her hand. The comments section exploded. "She's done. This is the look of a woman who gave everything and got nothing back. 20 years wasted." The heartbreak had become public property. Jim's words weren't just a statement. They were a knife through Chrissy's heart. And as fans raged, cried, and debated across every platform, one terrifying question lingered in the air. After 20 years together, was this the moment that proved Chrissy had waited for nothing? The silence between them was deafening. The internet was in flames. And fans knew deep down the real drama hadn't even started yet. for more than 2 decades. Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin have been one of hip-hop's most complicated love stories. A saga equal parts loyalty, passion, and heartbreak. To understand why fans are exploding over his latest comments about marriage, we need to rewind and trace the entire roller coaster. Because this isn't just about a wedding, this is about 20 years of love that now feels like 20 years of waiting in vain. It all started in the early 2000s. Jim Jones, Harlem's very own, was on top of the rap game. Dipset pride running through his veins, flashing diamonds, and street credibility in equal measure. Chrissy Lampkin was by his side not just as a girlfriend, but as a confidant, stylist, and strategist. She wasn't just arm candy, she was building him, protecting him, and making sure his brand went further than the streets. Fans saw it from day one. Chrissy wasn't a fling. She was ride or die. But even in those early days, there was one thing missing: a ring dot. As the years passed, the couple became a staple in hip-hop culture. Whenever Jim appeared at events, Chrissy was there. Whenever drama swirled around Dipset, Chrissy stood by his side. Their bond was undeniable, but whispers followed them everywhere. When are they getting married? Why hasn't Jim proposed? When Love and Hip Hop New York launched, their love story became public property. And that's where the real heartbreak began. Fans will never forget the infamous moment when Chrissy took matters into her own hands. In 2011, she got down on one knee and proposed to Jim herself. The world stopped. Social media lit up. Some praised her for being bold. Others dragged her for begging a man to do what he should have done years ago. Jim's reaction? Not the fairy tale Chrissy deserved. He accepted the proposal, but his body language, his hesitation, his lack of enthusiasm, it told a different story. And fans noticed. That scene haunted Chrissy for years. Clips of her tearful proposal went viral again and again, resurfacing every time fans debated about women waiting too long for men who never fully commit. It became a cautionary tale, a cultural reference point, a meme that refused to die. Still, Chrissy stayed, through ups and downs, breakups and reconciliations, public fights and private reconciliations. She remained by Jim's side. She moved with him, built with him, and defended him even when the world questioned her loyalty. But the wedding never came. Year after year, fans asked the same question: when? Each time, Jim dodged. Sometimes he laughed it off, sometimes he promised soon, sometimes he dismissed the question entirely. Meanwhile, Chrissy's patience became a punchline. She'd been a few months longer than most marriages last. One fan once tweeted. Another wrote, "Chrissy, the only woman in hip-hop history who's been engaged for over a decade." The jokes were relentless, but beneath the humor was pity. Fans admired her loyalty, but pitied her sacrifice. And it wasn't just fans noticing. Even within the Love and Hip Hop franchise, cast members openly mocked Chrissy's permanent engagement. At reunions, she faced uncomfortable questions and cruel jokes. Through it all, she smiled, defended Jim, and insisted their bond was stronger than marriage papers. But deep down, her eyes told the truth. She wanted it. She always wanted it. Fast forward to now, 2 decades later, and the conversation hasn't changed. That's why Jim's recent comments hit like a bomb. To hear 20 years wasted, she gave him her youth, her loyalty, her everything. For what? This is why you don't wait on men who don't value you. The frustration isn't just about Jim and Chrissy anymore. It's about what their story represents. Every woman who's waited too long. Every man who's taken advantage of loyalty without giving commitment. Every love story that drags on past its expiration date. That's why this scandal feels so much bigger than just 2 people. It's not just gossip. It's a mirror. And millions of fans are looking into it and seeing their own heartbreak reflected back. Now, with Jim finally breaking his silence in the worst way possible, fans are left asking the hardest question of all. If Chrissy waited 20 years for this moment, and all she got was rejection, what does that say about their love story? Because if a wedding was never in the cards, then maybe, just maybe, 20 years really did go down the drain. The tension snapped like a brittle wire when the first so-called insider leak appeared. It wasn't a tabloid headline, it wasn't a fan rumor, it was a screenshot. Allegedly taken from a private group chat Jim Jones had with close friends. The image spread across Twitter and Instagram like wildfire, and the words on the screen sent fans into meltdown. In the leaked message, Jim allegedly wrote, "I told her from the beginning marriage wasn't for me. If she stayed this long, that's on her. I never sold no dream." The internet froze. Fans scrolled back up, reread the line again and again, and then flooded the comments with disbelief. Was this real? Was this confirmation that Jim never intended to marry Chrissy? Not even from the start? One fan tweeted furiously, "So he watched her beg, cry, and embarrass herself for 20 years while knowing he never planned to marry her. Evil." Another responded, "That ain't love. That's manipulation. Chrissy deserves better." But it didn't stop there. Another screenshot followed. This one showing someone allegedly a longtime associate of Jim writing, "Bro, people been clowning you for years about the marriage. Why don't you just do it for her?" Jim's supposed reply, "'Cause it ain't me. That's not how I move. Chrissy knows what it is. She either with me or she not." The betrayal hit like a gut punch. Fans who once joked about Chrissy's endless wait weren't laughing anymore. This wasn't just hesitation. This wasn't nerves. If the leaks were true, it was cold, calculated dismissal. Meanwhile, Chrissy's silence was deafening. She didn't address Jim's comments directly, but she posted an Instagram story that showed nothing but a candle burning in a dark room. The caption, "Sometimes endings are louder than beginnings." Fans erupted. Was this Chrissy hinting she was done? Was she preparing to finally walk away after 20 years of loyalty? Her cryptic post was dissected in endless TikTok edits. Some fans begged her to leave, writing, "Sis, you gave him 2 decades. Don't give him one more day." Others urged her to stay strong, saying, "Paper or no paper, y'all built something real. Don't let the internet break y'all." But then came the twist that took the heartbreak to an even darker level. A podcast clip resurfaced, one where Jim casually laughed about the idea of marriage, saying, "I'm married to the streets. I'm married to the game." At the time, it had been brushed off as just typical rapper bravado. But now with his new comments, it sounded like prophecy. Fans replayed the clip side by side with Chrissy's teary proposal. The captions were merciless. She begged for love. He married the streets. The floodgates opened. Blogs began publishing unverified rumors that Chrissy had, in fact, been secretly planning a wedding of her own. With or without Jim's enthusiasm, one gossip site claimed she had even toured venues in Miami and New Jersey. Another alleged she had confided to friends that she would walk down that aisle with or without him. True? It made Jim's defiant comments look less like random deflection and more like a public slap in Chrissy's face. A preemptive strike. A warning shot to humiliate her before she could make the first move. And then came Chrissy's second post. No words. Just a single image of a woman's hand tossing a diamond ring into the ocean. The internet exploded. Is she finally done? Fans screamed. She wasted 20 years and now she's free. Others cheered, but some doubted, whispering, "She's posted cryptic things before and always went back. Is this different or another cycle?" Meanwhile, Jim doubled down. In a live interview, he smirked when asked about the controversy. "I don't care what people say. I love my woman, she loved me. That's all that matter. The internet don't dictate my relationship." But fans weren't buying it. One viral comment read, "That's the language of a man who knows he'll never marry her, but doesn't want to lose the benefits of her loyalty." The divide between Jim's defiance and Chrissy's silent pain had never been clearer. And then the most shocking rumor yet surfaced. A friend of Chrissy allegedly told a blogger that Chrissy was considering moving out. Not as a publicity stunt. Not as a fight. As a final decision, she said she can't take the humiliation anymore, the anonymous source claimed. She gave him everything and all she got was disrespect. she's done. Whether true or not, the story detonated online. Fans begged Chrissy to confirm it. Others warned her to protect herself before Jim dragged her down with him. The first twist was complete. Jim's leaked words had destroyed the illusion. For years, fans had clung to the hope that maybe someday he'd change. But now with insider leaks and cryptic posts, the truth seemed undeniable. Jim Jones never planned to marry Chrissy, and the woman who had waited 2 decades for a fairy tale ending was finally standing at the edge of a choice: walk away with her dignity, or stay and prove the critics right. The internet braced for impact, because everyone knew the next move Chrissy made would change everything. Do you want me to roll into the next escalation? Where the backlash gets uglier, Chrissy's friends start publicly choosing sides. And shocking whispers emerge that Jim may already have been talking to someone else while Chrissy planned her dream wedding. The backlash reached a fever pitch. What started as whispers in fan forums and gossip blogs had now snowballed into a full-scale war across social media. And every hour seemed to bring a new layer of betrayal. A new twist that pushed Chrissy and Jim's story closer to collapse. First came the friends. Chrissy's inner circle, the ones who had stood by her through years of waiting and defending, suddenly began speaking out. One of her longtime girlfriends went live on Instagram, her voice shaking with anger. She gave him 20 years. 20 years. And he got the nerve to get on camera and act like a wedding don't mean nothing. That woman has bled for him, cried for him, fought for him, and this is how he repays her. Nah, I can't stay quiet no more. The comments section erupted, half screaming preach, and half warning her not to spill too much. But her words lit a match. Within hours, other associates chimed in. A stylist who once worked with Chrissy posted cryptically, "Some of us told her years ago he would never do it. She didn't want to listen." Another, allegedly a close friend of Jim, fired back, "Don't act like you know what goes on behind closed doors. They solid. That's family. Y'all just want clout." The lines were drawn, but while friends and insiders argued online, fans were dissecting the bigger bombshell that Chrissy may not have been the only woman in Jim's orbit. A blind item gossip account dropped a cryptic post late. One night, NY rapper known for keeping his woman waiting, allegedly seen with a younger model while fiancé planned wedding. The internet went wild. Who else could it be? Fans swore the post was about Jim, and within minutes, blurry paparazzi-style photos began circulating. The pictures showed a man with Jim's signature braids and chains sitting in a dimly lit lounge with a woman who is definitely not Chrissy. The man's face was half-turned, the angle terrible, but it was enough to spark outrage. That's him. That's Jim. While Chrissy out here planning a wedding, he out here cheating. Fans fumed. Others tried to defend him, saying the photo was too blurry to prove anything. Still, the narrative stuck. The idea that Jim might have been entertaining someone else while Chrissy dreamed of walking down the aisle turned the heartbreak into pure rage. TikTok detectives dug deeper, comparing the lounge furniture in the photo to the decor of a club in Harlem Jim had recently tagged on Instagram. The theory blew up. It was the same night. He was there. The betrayal is real. And then came the darkest twist of all. Screenshots allegedly from Jim's text conversations began circulating, leaked by an anonymous account. In one, he allegedly wrote to a friend, "She pushing this wedding thing too hard. I might have to bounce before it goes too far." Another chilling message read, "She'll never leave me. She invested too much. She can't." Fans screamed in horror. If real, these weren't just doubts, they were manipulation. Proof that Jim believed Chrissy's loyalty was a trap she couldn't escape. Proof that he thought he had. The betrayal became unbearable. Chrissy, once silent, finally seemed to break. She posted a photo of herself in a white dress, not a wedding gown, but a sleek fitted dress with the caption, "New beginnings. Old stories end." The internet exploded. Was this a goodbye? Was this her way of saying she was finally done waiting? The image was reposted thousands of times, each caption harsher than the last. "She's leaving. She woke up. It's 20 years wasted, but not one more day." And yet Jim wasn't backing down. In an interview clip that went viral, he smirked at the outrage. "Y'all too invested in my business. Me and Chrissy good. I ain't gotta marry her to prove nothing to nobody." The arrogance, the defiance, the casual dismissal, it was gasoline on a raging fire. Fans who once loved him now turned their backs. Even his own supporters struggled to defend him. The narrative had shifted. It was no longer about whether Jim and Chrissy would ever get married. It was about whether their 20-year saga had been a lie all along. And then the final twist of this chapter hit. An anonymous blog dropped a bombshell claim. Chrissy had been seen touring condos alone in Miami, not with Jim, not with a realtor linked to him. Alone. The rumor spread instantly. She's moving out. Chrissy finally leaving Jim. After 20 years. She's choosing herself. Fans rallied behind her like never before, flooding her page with messages of support. "We love you. Chrissy, you deserve better. Don't look back." But hanging over everything was one terrifying question. Was this really the end, or was it just another cycle? Would Chrissy finally break free, or would Jim pull her back in again, like he had so many times before? The world leaned forward, waiting for the answer. Do you want me to push into the next stage, where the industry itself reacts? With reality TV producers, fellow rappers, and even Chrissy's castmates from Love and Hip Hop jumping in, turning their personal heartbreak into a cultural earthquake. The storm got bigger than either Jim or Chrissy could control. What had started as messy leaks and cryptic posts now exploded into a cultural earthquake. With rappers, producers, reality TV stars, and fans worldwide throwing themselves into the fire. Suddenly, their 20-year saga wasn't just personal anymore, it was a battleground for everyone's opinions on love, loyalty, and wasted time. Producers from Love and Hip Hop smelled blood in the water. A special reunion episode was suddenly announced, with whispers that Chrissy and Jim had been approached separately about sitting down to discuss their relationship on camera for the first time in years. Fans immediately speculated, would this be the televised breakup? Would Chrissy finally say the words millions were screaming for her, "I'm done," under the harsh studio lights? Meanwhile, Chrissy's former castmates chimed in online. Yandy Smith, who had her own infamous feud with Chrissy years back, tweeted, "Funny how things always come full circle." The shade was undeniable. Fans quickly flooded her replies, saying Yandy had been right all along about Jim's reluctance to commit. The tension of old beefs reignited in real time. Adding more fuel to an already raging fire, rappers entered the conversation too. Cameron, Jim's Dipset brother, posted a laughing emoji under a meme about Chrissy's 20-year wait, then quickly deleted it. But the damage was done. Screenshots went viral instantly. Was Cam mocking Chrissy? Was he mocking Jim? Or was he mocking the entire spectacle? Nobody knew, but the internet devoured it. On Instagram Live, Remy Ma offered a more serious take. "Listen, I respect Chrissy. That's a strong woman, stronger than most. But loyalty without reciprocity, that ain't strength, that's prison." Her words were clipped, posted everywhere, became one of the most shared sound bites of the entire saga. Even outside the hip-hop world, the story went mainstream. Wendy Williams' successor on daytime TV dedicated an entire segment to the drama. The host bluntly asking the audience, "Ladies, how many years is too many years to wait for a ring?" The crowd booed Jim's name so loudly it nearly drowned out the rest of the conversation. And while the world roasted him, Jim doubled down again. He posted a video, clearly annoyed, where he barked into the camera, "Y'all don't know my life. Y'all don't know my love. Me and Chrissy been good for 20 years. Don't nothing y'all say matter? She mine, I'm hers. That's it." But the comments shredded him. Thousands of angry replies poured in. "She ain't yours if you can't make her your wife. She wasted her life. And you proud of it, Chrissy? Blink twice if you need help." At the same time, fans weren't just talking, they were organizing. Hashtags like #FreeChrissy and number 20 years gone began trending, turning Chrissy into a symbol of women who had waited too long for men who would never commit. TikTok flooded with women posting their own stories of wasted relationships, using Chrissy as the blueprint of what not to accept. And then came the cruelest twist. Another blog dropped a rumor that Jim had been offered a solo reality show deal without Chrissy. The premise: Jim navigating life as a rapper and entrepreneur with freedom as the theme. Fans screamed betrayal, so she gave him 20 years and now he cashing out solo. Through it all, Chrissy's response was chillingly quiet. No rants, no interviews, just curated photos, her with friends, her sipping wine, her looking stunning but distant. Fans dissected every image, convinced she was sending silent signals. That's the face of a woman ready to move on. Others doubted. We've seen this before. She always goes back. But then came the cliffhanger that froze the internet in place. Late one night, Chrissy posted a short video on her Instagram story. No words, no music, just her hand placing a small jewelry box on a table. She opened it slowly, revealing an engagement ring, the same ring she had been wearing for years. Then, without hesitation, she closed the box, slid it away, and turned off the camera. The message was loud, even without a caption. Fans screamed. Was she done? Was this her symbolic goodbye to 2 decades of waiting? Or was it just another tease in their never-ending saga? Nobody knew for sure. But one thing was undeniable. The next move would be explosive. Do you want me to push straight into the final twist and cliffhanger where? A shocking revelation from someone inside. Jim's own circle surfaces, hinting that Chrissy may not just be leaving, but already has someone new in her life. The internet thought the story had hit its peak. Jim had spoken, Chrissy had gone silent, but symbolic. Fans were already debating whether she was finally free or trapped in the same cycle. But then, the most shocking revelation yet ripped through social media. It didn't come from Jim or Chrissy. It came from inside Jim's own circle. A blog dropped what it called the final nail in the coffin. An anonymous source claiming to be a longtime associate of Jim said that not only was Chrissy done, she wasn't just walking away quietly, she was moving on. The insider alleged that Chrissy had been spotted several times in Miami and New Jersey in the company of a mysterious man, someone described as low-profile wealthy, and nothing like Jim. The details were vague, but the insinuation was enough to set the internet ablaze. Fans speculated wildly. Was Chrissy already seeing someone else? Was this why she'd been so quiet? Why her recent posts showed her looking serene, confident, and unbothered? Was the white dress she posted not a symbol of loss, but of a new chapter with someone new? Jim's camp responded with fury. Within hours of the rumor spreading, one of his close friends went live on Instagram, shouting, "Y'all lying on Chrissy name? Y'all lying on Jim? Ain't no other man. That's his woman, and she ain't never leaving." But instead of silencing the speculation, it only fanned the flames. Because why defend Chrissy's loyalty so aggressively unless Jim himself felt threatened by the whispers? Then a new piece of evidence surfaced. A fan posted a blurry photo taken at a Miami restaurant. In the corner of the frame, a woman who looked exactly like Chrissy was sitting at a table, laughing, a man's arm draped casually on the back of her chair. The man's face wasn't visible, but that didn't matter. The image was enough to break Twitter in half. Chrissy finally found her exit. One fan wrote, the post racking up hundreds of thousands of likes. Another responded, after 20 years, she deserves to glow like this. I don't care if it's real or not. But the plot thickened even further. A gossip podcast released what they claimed was a voicemail, allegedly left by one of Jim's associates to another friend. The voice, gravelly and nervous, said, he knows. That's why he's been snapping on lives. He heard she got somebody else and it's eating him alive. True, the irony was unbearable. For 20 years, Chrissy had been the one waiting, begging, pleading for commitment. And now, just as Jim dismissed marriage as meaningless, he might be the one losing sleep over Chrissy slipping away. Fans went feral. Memes flooded TikTok with captions like, "Jim, marriage don't matter. Chrissy, okay, bet." Another viral soundbite showed Chrissy's old proposal scene edited next to the blurry Miami photo. With the caption, "She waited. Then she walked." Through it all, Chrissy kept her silence. Her Instagram stayed curated and cryptic, but sharper-eyed fans noticed something chilling. She had quietly deleted dozens of old photos of her and Jim posts that had once celebrated. Their bond were gone, erased. That was all the confirmation the internet needed. Deleting pictures is louder than any interview, one fan tweeted. Chrissy's done, another posted, 20 years down the drain, but sis, picking up the pieces and starting new. Meanwhile, Jim's frustration began to boil over. In a tense clip captured by paparazzi, he snapped at a reporter who asked about the Miami rumors. "Man, don't ask me about that. Y'all making up stories? Me and Chrissy good. Don't play with me." His voice was sharp, his body language tense, his defiance cracking at the edges. For years, Jim had controlled the narrative by brushing off questions, laughing at marriage talk, or playing the aloof partner. But now, for the first time, he looked cornered, desperate, like a man realizing he might lose the woman he thought would always be there. And that's when Chrissy dropped the most bond-chilling move yet. Late at night, she posted a photo of herself standing in front of a mirror, her phone covering her face. On her finger, no ring, no caption, just silence. The internet went into overdrive. Fans cried, screamed, celebrated, raged. Some said it was the end of a 20-year tragedy. Others said it was the beginning of Chrissy's rebirth. But everyone agreed. This wasn't just about marriage anymore. This was about dignity, betrayal, and finally reclaiming power. And yet, one terrifying rumor still lingered in the background. Multiple blogs began whispering that Chrissy's new man wasn't just anyone. He was allegedly connected to the industry, someone Jim knew. Someone who had been close all along. If true, it wouldn't just be betrayal. It would be revenge. Now, fans are left staring at the wreckage, asking the only question that matters. After 20 years of love, patience, and sacrifice, has Chrissy finally turned the tables on Jim Jones? Or is this just another chapter in a saga that refuses to end? The truth is coming, and when it does, it won't just shock fans, that will burn everything down. If you want me to now build the final call to action ending that drags the audience into the debate, forces them to pick sides, and teases that Chrissy's next move could be her most shocking yet. And now, the moment of truth belongs to you. After 2 decades of waiting, 2 decades of defending a love story that the world watched unravel piece by piece, the internet is louder than ever. But whose side are you on? Was Chrissy the loyal partner who gave Jim Jones everything, only to be repaid with dismissal, humiliation, and wasted years? Or was Jim right all along, insisting that marriage doesn't define love? That 2 decades together without papers is proof enough of a bond. And what about these new rumors? Do you believe Chrissy has finally reached her breaking point? Erasing old photos, ditching the ring, and maybe even stepping into the arms of someone new? Or do you think this is just another cycle in the never-ending saga of Jim and Chrissy? One where heartbreak will once again turn into reconciliation? Fans everywhere are debating, but your voice matters too. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Is Chrissy walking away for good? Or will she still stand by Jim despite everything? Should she be celebrated for finally choosing herself, or criticized for letting it drag on this long? And if you don't want to miss what happens next, if Chrissy really does speak out, if Jim finally cracks under the pressure, if the alleged new man gets revealed, then hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the next chapter in this 20-year saga could drop at any moment, and when it does, you'll want to be here first. This isn't just about a wedding that never happened. It's about love, loyalty, betrayal, and the painful truth that sometimes 20 years of waiting really can go down the drain. And when Chrissy finally breaks her silence, will it be tears, rage, or the ultimate revenge?